You think he sees us?
No, he can't see us. Trust me, he can feel us watching.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff.
And we wanted to remind you that we have a Patreon now.
Yeah, guys, we have a Patreon now. I don't know if you guys heard about that, but we have a Patreon,
Patreon
now.
Yeah.
So it's pretty
Have you ever thought of yourself as a patron? Would you ever want to think of yourself?
Have you
as
heard
a
of the
patron?
Medici
Patron of the
family?
spooky?
Are you interested in the term patronage? It sounds so fancy, and that could be something you're doing.
Whoa.
A patron.
You could be a supporter of the arts.
Oh,
Yes.
this is art. We're creating gorgeous art week after week, and you can have access to more of it.
I don't know why you're saying that like it's a little joke. It's very
It's true.
serious.
It is really true. And we also were just cranking out some sexy exclusive content, and it was actually really
Whoa,
funny,
oh
and it
my
was like really
God.
cool.
You'll want to
And
see it.
And if you like these outfits, then
Then you can
to
get more
see
of a
them
baby.
again.
And for only $8. For only
Only
$8, you
$8.
can get access to that exclusive content and ad-free episodes, etc. If that's too expensive for you, though, I get it. You could pay just $5, and then you could be in our Discord with us and do a little chat ski. We'll give you a shout out.
Chatsky.
And if you're like, that's still too expensive, but I want to support you, thank you so much. We do have a general support option for $2. Thank you so much.
Thank
You're so
you.
actually, you're so sweet.
That's so sweet,
we love you
and we
so
love
much.
you so much. Seriously. So think about it. It's patreon.com/spooky_Tuesday. We'd really appreciate your support. Now, Chelsea,
Now
what are we
back to
doing?
the
Now, back to
original
the
feature.
Back to
How
original
do they do
special
it in the
programming.
movie? Feature presentation. What do they do? Nicole Kidman comes out. She says feature presentation, something like that.
Something like that. That's what just
but-
happened.
Yeah. You saw her. We all saw her.
Could we make an
I saw
AMC
her.
Nicole Kidman there, but for our Patreon, we just play at the end?
Let's find a
We
way.
have to do
Who has a striped suit on hand?
Who?
Just find one.
Someone.
Okay. But until then, we have to stay on topic, you guys. So stop fucking around.
Woo.
And
Chelsea's so mean today.
Chelsea and Monica are beefing hard.
I
all
don't know
day.
what I did.
Monica started it. Oh,
No, I didn't. I'm just out here existing. But anyway, back to our feature presentation.
Okay, so who is ready for this episode to like begin for real? Me, Sydney, raise your hand. Okay, great. Because this week we are doing Disturbia, the 2007 movie that rocked us all when we saw it in
Disturbia.
theaters. It inspired a Rihanna song, not for real, but maybe.
But maybe.
But maybe. And it is just a general banger. We've been talking about doing it for a long time. It finally worked its way onto the sketch. So if you don't know
It's
what
a
this movie,
quintessential summer movie.
it
So
is a
that's
summer movie.
the
It's also,
inspiration.
I will say, a quintessential millennial movie.
We're outed
like-
as millennials. Oh my god, they had no
Has it been a
idea.
secret?
They thought we were Gen Z this whole
They were like,
time.
"Oh my god, I thought you
No,
guys
they
were
did not.
young and
Actually,
hip." No,
we
it's
say
like
way too much
our
for them to
audience.
know
I
that
really
we're
don't
Gen
think
Z.
is Gen Z anyway.
Gen Z says slay.
Not like
they,
we
they
do.
Say, they say it's over. Actually, it's
Yeah.
past
No,
its
I
prime.
know,
And
I
you
know.
know what
They
I
Slay
say?
is never
story.
over.
You're not the boss of me. I'm the boss of everybody, as you can tell by this episode. Again, I'm very domineering today, so shut the fuck up.
Oh my god.
I like. Wow, that made me feel very powerful. Your little voice crack. Okay.
Oh my god, things are getting charged.
Whoa,
Exclusive
oh my
content.
god. Enemies to lovers storyline today? Who knows? Okay, I'm reading the description now.
Okay. Go for
When a
it.
teenager. Do you hear her interrupt me? Oh my god. Okay. When a teenager is placed under house arrest. It's actually a very weird description we can discuss after. When a teenager is placed under house arrest, he succumbs to despair and starts spying on his neighbors, hoping to spice up his life. This, however, leads him to witness a serial killer on the loose.
It's too much. It's giving
It's
too
a
much.
lot, yeah.
Giving.
I'm laughed so hard I'm
However,
crying.
it's like, why are we going into 2 sentences now?
It's too much. Why am I crying so much? I laughed too hard. I'm
I'm-
just so moved by Disturbia, you guys. This movie fucking slaps, okay? I have to say. And I can't see through these at all. And what if I was just like this the whole time?
You can't see Sydney in her, I think, costume shorts and t-shirt. Sydney, are you dressed up? Would you like to tell us about your outfit?
Yeah, I'm dressed up as Kale.
That's Kale, baby, and I could
Kale!
tell.
I
You should be
didn't
wearing jeans, really. He's wearing jeans almost the entire movie, which is crazy for somebody on house arrest.
I know. People that wear
It's a
denim
way
in the
to-
house, insane.
It's like during the pandemic when I started dressing up in outfits again to mitigate the depression. That is what Kale is doing right now, okay?
Okay, but I didn't have a Ramones t-shirt, but I did have
Mhm.
my Rage Against the Machine t-shirt, which I feel
Basically
like
the
he would
same.
like. But also, the most important thing.
Beautiful.
Oh
When
my
you
God.
sent that text earlier and you said, should I put my Apple Watch on my ankle? I went, I don't know, girl. What are you doing that for?
It's
Now I
my house arrest monitor. Because quite frankly, I feel like if any one of us is going to be on house arrest, it would be me.
I don't know, girl.
I
I think they'd send
see.
you straight to jail.
No,
No,
I think I
yeah,
would
that's true.
harm them, obviously.
I don't know. I feel like they'd take pity on me and I'd be like Martha Stewart.
Martha Stewart was in jail, bitch.
And
But
then
she also was
came
under
out.
house arrest.
I would never be in such a position, so it wouldn't be me.
I'm getting canceled all
I
the
say
time,
Monica.
so it's
Monica
inevitable.
gets house arrest and Sydney straight to jail.
Straight to jail.
Straight to jail.
You heard
for
it here
Sydney.
first. Chelsea's being very domineering on this episode. She's decided where we go.
I'm the judge.
Judge, jury, and executioner.
That's me banging my
yeah.
gavel.
I saw this movie when it came out, like we all did, because Shia LaBeouf was that bitch back then, and absolutely
Ugh.
he is not right now.
No,
Mhm.
but in this
No.
movie, yeah.
I don't see
Dude.
Shia LaBeouf in this movie. I only see Kale. Kale, main character Kale, has a last name. I
Exactly.
don't know what it is.
It starts something with a
Kale.
B, I think.
Imagine
I
naming
think
your
that's
son
the-
Kale.
oh, I
You
was
set him
gonna
up for
say-
failure. You set him up for hardship if you name your kid Kale. It's like
Lettuce
apple.
leaf.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna call him arugula
his
for the rest
name.
of the time.
Arugula
Arugula
is
would
the
be
best
better.
leaf. That's a good
Short. The short name for it could be Rugs.
one. I was gonna say Rugi.
Rugi, Rugs. Can we call him that?
Then
There's
why
time no
does
one will
he
know
have
what we're
a
talking about.
surfer accent now? Out on the
Me?
waves today, Rugi.
Yeah, hey,
Right,
Rugi.
it just
You see that? You see that? What's the other things surfers
That
say? Or wave?
Shaka. Gnarly.
That tide today, bro. You see that, Rugi?
Hang 10. You hang 10. Rugi.
Cowabunga.
This is mortifying.
You guys
All of our
he's not a
patrons
surfer.
are
He's
sick.
fishes in
Subscribe.
the mountains in wilderness. Okay, he doesn't go to the. He lives in Madison, Wisconsin, and he goes to I don't know Wyoming. Where is he?
Even though
I thought
that
they
is,
were
like,
in Pasadena.
That's where they filmed.
they
But
just
there's
filmed
a
it in
news report
Pasadena.
in the beginning. I guess they might not be in Madison, but the news report in the beginning for the first missing lady says local Madison woman or something like that. They say the word
Oh.
Madison, and I went, oh, I guess they're in Wisconsin.
I guess so. I totally forgot about the beginning of this movie. Absolutely,
So did
completely.
I.
just knew he was under house arrest, and I couldn't remember why. This
Mhm.
is fucking so sad. It's so. I
Yeah.
was like,
The
moved.
opening is
Why am I so emotional this summer?
fucked up.
It's
But
so-
that
and I-
opening line, they're really setting you up. Do you guys remember what the opening line was?
Recite it for us, Chelsea.
I didn't write it down exactly, but the
Oh.
dad says something about the fish that's like, he can't see us, but trust me, he can feel us watching. And it's when the screen is still all black, and then
Yeah.
it cuts in. So it's like, oh, just a little reminder for you later. Even if he can't see you, he feels you watching. So
Okay, wait. Well, but maybe before we dive into this part, the whole thing with this movie is that it is a modern retelling of Rear Window, which is
No,
like
it's
a
not.
classic.
Don't say that, or you're gonna
Mm-mm.
get into a rights issue.
Yeah.
I know, but it literally is.
But
I
it is,
saw
yeah.
that whole thing, and it was
It was
Spielberg
ruled-
is fine, and it's ruled that it's fine. I mean, I don't understand why it's a big deal anyway. There's like inspiration. You take inspiration
People
from
have
things.
heard about spying on their neighbor. It's like what we were when we were beefing on I Know What You Did Last Summer. Yes, Meg Cabot invented the concept of talking to ghosts, but also other people can have that idea too. So it's
Exactly.
like, yeah, the spying on your neighbor, obviously it's very clearly in conversation with Rear Window, and I almost thought about watching Rear Window to prepare. But
I've seen it, but I fell asleep for part of it. But I saw the end.
yeah, but their circumstances are different as I understand it. And this film
Definitely.
has a comedy and teen romance tone that Rear Window doesn't have, which is how they got away with it, basically.
I saw that exact quote, and I was like, "L-O fucking L."
It's peppered with
So-
humor and teen romance. That's what the quote is.
It is. It is surely
Yeah.
peppered. But I think that, I mean, okay, that's not what they were doing. But if they were, that's like a really fun concept because Rear Window is such a great film. I mean, if you haven't seen it, you should definitely see it. I want to watch it again because I missed part of it, as I just said. But it's just interesting. I think the guy has like a broken leg. I think that's what the thing with his
Yeah.
with Rear Window. So he's laid
in
up
a
in his
wheelchair,
house.
but I don't know for sure
Yeah.
why.
Yeah, he is incapacitated. He can't leave his home. And so that's why he gets so obsessed. And so like that's an awesome way to modernize it, making a kid under house arrest. So that's just brilliant already. I didn't realize this was a Spielberg related
know.
film.
He was a
until I saw
silent,
that.
Spielberg, I think, like really tried
producer.
to take Shia under his wing for a while there.
I mean, he at the time, I mean, he still is a talented person. Your talent doesn't zap away because you're bad and you do bad things.
Unfortunately, people who do bad things can also
Can
be
be
hugely talented in a lot of ways.
talented.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
big issue that we have on this podcast. So
It's a big issue that we have consuming media.
I
In
didn't mean
general.
how Monica is getting canceled. That's actually not
Oh,
what
I
I meant.
thought it was another dig at me. I was like, why can't I
One more
live
thing.
today? I
That's
didn't
not
even
what
do
I meant.
anything.
What I meant was,
Yeah, you can be a bad person and be
unfortunately-
so talented and have a podcast.
just like,
I was like,
Monica.
thank you, but also fuck you.
What I meant was just like, yeah, unfortunately, some of your favorite movies have bad people involved, and some of your favorite actors sometimes have been terrible. So, like,
Yeah,
you know,
but
nothing
he
can
was
be
really
completely
in his-
morally pure. You just kind of things are important to you anyway. Sometimes.
Totally. I mean, what's the timeline here? When did this movie come out versus Even Stevens and everything?
Oh, that's
This
an
movie
interesting
came out
question.
in 2007.
This was his
Okay.
fucking year,
Oh,
by the
This
way.
is his year. This came out
Yeah.
after Transformers.
Yeah.
Mhm. And he
So-
had a third movie
Oh,
that year,
no.
although I'd never heard of it before.
JK, it came out before Transformers. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Oh, he was in iRobot. How did I forget that? That's like my movie. Who's Farber in iRobot? Need to rewatch it. Anyway. Okay, so Even Stevens ended in 2003.
Which is when
was
Holes
also
came
in
out.
2003.
Holes is such a that's gonna be a Fifth Tuesday one day.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
I would love.
I'm gonna
That's
add
a
that to the
great-
list right now.
I would love to do Holes.
That's
He's
a
also
great
Charlie's
one.
Angels Full Throttle. He's all these like secondary characters for a while. And then I feel like this movie was his like intro into being like the star. He let a couple years pass so he's not seen as like the little boy anymore. Like he was, not that he was a little boy in Even Stevens, but you know what I mean.
Little
so
tiny
this is-
baby.
This is his I'm a teen. I'm a cool
Mhm.
teen debut. And he's a little bit dreamy in this. In a like I was dreaming. I was
Here's-
certainly dreaming back then.
Here's my thing. Knowing teenage Sydney, right?
Uh-huh.
If I had a cute neighbor who was on house arrest,
You'd be so thirsty for him.
oh my god,
Same.
I would be over there any chance I could get.
He's first
Especially
of
if
all,
I was like
he's
a
a
little pissed
captive
at my
audience.
parents.
He can't go anywhere. He's trapped. He has to spend time with you.
I would
It's
put
actually
on
a
a
great
show.
setup. Yeah.
I would put on a show.
For me, it would
Sorry.
be like, oh my God, he's going through such a hard time right now. And he's got so many emotions that he punched that guy, which is how I felt now watching this.
Yeah. I will say, I like I mentioned, I saw it in theaters with three of my friends. I think we had like a half day at school in 8th grade. And we went and saw this, and then one of those same friends came over last night to watch it with me again, and
Oh,
we were
fun.
talking about it and like reminiscing a little bit. She remembers being very into Kale at the time. I remember us all being very thirsty for Aaron Yu, the best friend.
He is
Oh,
so
Ronnie.
hot.
He's very cute to me in this movie.
He came on and I was like, oh my God, I forgot how I felt about him and his fucking freaky spiky hair. Oh,
But also,
I love
like,
him. He's such a little shit.
and the way that he dresses too is like, it's so nostalgic because
Quintessential.
like I'm 3 years older than y'all, right? So Chelsea said you were in like 8th grade. So I
Uh-huh.
was in
11th grade.
yeah.
You were that girl. You were the
Yes.
girl.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
so,
That's
like,
real.
For me, like this movie is just
They
like
were
a
very much your
weird-
Ashley.
contemporaries.
Yes. And so it's like a weird time capsule, like because they were directed to ad lib a bunch of things, like with their dialogue. So like it sounds
Like
like
teenagers.
how we talked. It sound like what we would
Yeah.
do. It like them playing Xbox. Remember, you had to have like an iTunes account to like listen to your music and stuff like that. Like
I loved that segment when he was trying to buy a song, and I was like, buying a song.
right? Like
What was the first song you ever bought on iTunes?
Remember when you gave money to artists? Just to
right?
You
Remember
you
when?
could still. You could still.
Mine was Bad Day by Daniel Powter.
Mine was a Blink 182 song.
That's way cooler.
I was cool, Monica. So sorry.
I know. I didn't get cool until a little bit later, but was still beloved while I was lame. Ask Chelsea. She was into it.
That's true.
But yeah, okay. Beginning of this movie. So I just totally forgot completely. And it was just like, it's actually so visceral and so
Yes.
jarring and
Yeah.
so sad. Like the way that they like give you all of that father-son bonding experience, like that's what was so jarring at the beginning. I was like, this is not what this movie is like. What is happening? But like it's so important to like make you feel for Kale, even though his name's Kale. I can't get over that.
Well, like you
That's right.
said,
That's what
actually, I
big
can't
way.
remember when you said this, or maybe my friend said this last night. Kale was not a superfood yet at the time, so this
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
seemed like a normal name to us. Nobody questioned it really. Maybe it was
Yeah,
like I'd never heard that name before, but it was not like Kale like
It wasn't as
arugula.
funny. It was just a normal
Nobody was
name.
making jokes about how he's a
It's like
surfer named
Kyle.
Ruby.
Isn't that like a Superman thing?
Yeah.
Kyle? I don't know. Yeah.
Kyle.
That's the vibe like I get from it. But like that, I forgot how like fucking brutal the car crash is too. Like car crash sequences just
Oh my
really
god.
It's
freak
It's
me
a
out.
very well
Visceral.
choreographed car crash because
Totally
you can
agree.
absolutely see shit like that happening for real in it
Mhm.
going down
The
exactly
windy
that way.
road.
I did find myself we got sucked into a discussion about like the liability of like who's really at fault here, you know what I mean? Because the broken down car is in the middle of the road, but also they're kind of on like a tough road where maybe there's not a lot of shoulder to pull over, and like sometimes your car just fucking stops where it stops. And then there's that aggressive car who like, do they have fault? Do they not have fault? You know what I mean? Because technically they swerve out of the way, and if Kale was not tailgating, sorry to say, Kale, I'm not saying it's your fault, but insurance would
No.
find some liability there. If he was not tailgating, he would have more space to like see the obstacle after that truck swerves out of the way. It's
Well,
a mess.
I think that's all part of it too,
Yeah.
because like obviously in the aftermath, Kale is dealing with a great deal of guilt.
Yeah.
And, it is ambiguous who is at fault. No one could have anticipated this. No one could blame him. You know what I mean? No one
Especially
because
because it's the second hood. You know what I mean? It's the
Right.
car coming the opposite way down the road. That's like the real deal breaker.
right.
That shot after Shia gets out of the car and Kale, he spits glass out of his mouth. That's also
Ugh.
fucking horrifying. And he crawls around to get to his dad, and just that shot of his face when he looks into the car, and you're just imagining what he could possibly be seeing. That was really effective. I
Yeah.
was like,
And it's like,
oh,
he's so young in this too, right?
Mhm.
Like he is in
He's 16
high
at that
school,
point. Yeah, because then it's
and
1 year later when the plot of the movie kicks off.
and he's witnessing this, and I'm sorry, I would be completely checked out too.
Yeah.
totally. And I just
That's what's crazy about the Spanish scene too, because it's like, ¿Qué va a hacer? Like, what are you gonna do? And he's like, I didn't get that part of the book. It's like, girl, I think that's chapter 1. But yeah, I mean, there's no way he's been paying any attention all year long.
And there's also just like no need for the professor to be that aggressive. Honestly,
The teacher was
like
being so shitty.
he was being so like aggressive, like I don't even know. Like he kept
Big
coming
macho
up,
man.
yeah, kind of macho man vibes, being like, "Do you know who you're talking to?" Like he literally says something like that. Do you know who you're messing with? And I'm just like, this is like a kid who needs help. Obviously, he's been probably an asshole all year, but like
But like he
bringing
has
up
a
the dad
reason.
in that moment, why would you ever do that? It's just so callous. I don't know. I like when he
Yeah.
punched him, I was like, good. And then I was like, Monica,
Oh,
that's your dead mommy issues popping out right there.
but here's my thing too. I know the mom's a little fed up, and she has every right to be, but like I would have been like, good, you should have fucking hit that guy. There is, you know, it was
Yeah.
acceptable violence for me, quite frankly.
I feel it's still definitely assault. I think that like it shouldn't have gotten to that point, but also
Yeah.
Listen,
think
that
it's
teacher fucked around
complicated.
and found out, okay?
That's exactly right. That's true. I do remember I have
Exactly.
had a conversation around the Will Smith slap 1,000 years ago. I was like, well, I simply aimed to never say anything that would get me slapped in the first place. I think that's a good starting point. You know what I mean? Like,
I think
is
that's
it wrong
fair.
or is it right to slap somebody? That's a different conversation. But I'm saying
Yeah.
sometimes people are able to slap you. Is it wrong? Is it right? Who can say? But they have the ability, so you should maybe not make them want to if you can avoid it.
100%.
But yeah, I think there are circumstances under which a teacher could make the reaching out to be like, what would your father think? But in front of everybody right after you've been
It's
like,
just
you're
to
an idiot and I'm
mortify
gonna
him.
flunk you,
It's
is
to
like,
humiliate him.
yeah.
No. I hate
Because he
that
does it
shit.
to Ronnie right before too. Obviously not the same thing, but Ronnie is giving his presentation or whatever. Obviously he's being a little shit because he's like,
Quizás,
quizás. Yeah.
which was so funny.
It's very cute. It's very high school. And he's like, quizás I'll give you an F. And it's like, okay, well, did he do a good job or not? Because if you're just giving him an F for being sassy, you're a bad teacher.
Right.
But yeah, he says to Ronnie, like, maybe I'll give you an F. And so it's like, this is clearly just the way that he runs his classroom. And
Bad
so
teacher.
you can imagine why. I mean, like, Kale is not even being a dick at first. You know what I mean? He just wants
Yeah.
to keep his head
He's-
down and sleep through class if
Yeah.
possible. And like, maybe this was like some sort of final assignment, but it also seems kind of like the last day of school, basically, are the
Yeah.
vibes. I don't know.
No,
It's such a
seriously,
mess.
it was so unnecessary. So I feel I really don't like him. I have some breaking news though. So the actor twofold. First, my
Okay.
first breaking news was that Aaron I think it's Yoo,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
who plays Ronnie, he is very hot still. Don't worry. Very sexy. Some would
Thank
say
you. I was concerned.
unbelievably sexy. He's got like long hair thing going on. Hot, very hot. And I went to his page to learn more, and he was born in 1979.
What?
Yeah. So he's like
So
a
he's
full
7 years older, actually, than
7 years older than
Shia
Shia,
LaBeouf
because
in this
Shia was
movie.
born in 86.
86, or
Yeah.
maybe the
Shia,
Sarah,
like
whatever
literal
Ashley
Shia was
was.
born in 86. I just looked it up. So That was a shock of a lifetime. And he was also in the 2009 Friday the 13th movie.
He was also in the
Mm.
2010 A Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Horror King.
Horror King.
Horror King. And he's been in one episode of Evil, which I know you guys both watched. So
I do love Evil.
Which episode? Oh my gosh,
I
I'm
don't
behind,
know, girl.
so I might not have seen it. Okay. Wow.
he was
I
also
love
in
him
the Lindsay
so
Lohan
much.
movie Labor Pains. So
Never heard of that in my entire
What?
life. But
wow,
you
what's
wait,
wrong with you
okay,
guys? Actually, I
hold
don't know
on.
if I've seen it. I'm just have heard
I
of
just
it.
know of it.
I just have heard of it.
this movie has so many like undercover, like super famous now people
Yeah.
in it, and I'm like, what was Viola Davis
Davis.
doing in 2007?
It's giving
Like,
Idris Elba in Prom Night vibes.
Mhm.
yeah, 100%. Oh, I loved her hair in this though. She had a very cute
She looked great.
bang action going on right now. But I was like, she is literally like the smallest possible role. So that's so funny. And then also Carrie Ann Moss, who plays the mom. Julie is the mom's name.
Mhm.
It was just really bizarre to see Trinity with long hair for me, Trinity from The Matrix. Like I just kept like at first I was like, oh, she still got the cunty bob, and then she moved her hair forward, and I was like, oh, what is
Scared
happening?
you.
She is literally talk about a hot mom. I'm glad Ashley said it. Like your mom is hot.
Hot.
She is hot.
She also is hot in Jessica Jones when she's in that show. So
Yes.
Ooh, oh my god, I forgot about that show. I loved that show.
and she's playing a
Uh,
lesbian. So that's also fun.
Mm.
Whew. I really loved, we touched on it a little bit, but like the little like montage-ish thing of Kale's first like day and a half of being under house arrest. I was dying over like first he couldn't do his Xbox anymore. We did that. Then he couldn't go on his iTunes anymore. Then he's watching shit TV and he's like, I'll just eat shit. And then he like gets diarrhea. I was dying. I was like, I'm so glad they added in this little diarrhea joke for the
Listen,
poop joke,
jokes
My
will
friend
never
watched
not be
him
funny.
take a big spoonful of peanut butter and dip it in the chocolate sauce, and she was like, "He's gonna shit his pants." And one second
And
later,
he
a Red
absolutely
Bull.
did.
He was drinking a Red Bull at the same time. I like got a stomach ache
he
just
said,
looking
"There's
at it.
Right.
nothing to do. I might as well give myself diarrhea.
I might
He's
as
like,
well
I'm gonna
get
get
an ulcer.
skinny.
At least it'll take up 45 minutes of my time."
But also,
Oh.
he like asked other people who'd been on house arrest before, which is how he
in
came
real
up
life, yeah.
with doing the Twinkie Tower.
He said, "You guys ever gone
That's-
crazy for 3 months before? What'd you get up to?" That's
so
the other
funny.
thing is my friend and I last night we were like, this is so interesting to watch post 2020 pandemic lockdown when we were
Yeah.
all inside for so long at a time. And like
Why didn't we
obviously
build
you
Twinkie
could-
Towers?
Why didn't we build Twinkie? I'm sure
We
somebody
had
did,
Amazon,
actually.
so we could order
Oh.
like miniature
That's the thing
kits.
too. We had Amazon Prime. They did it in 2007. It was like you could order literally whatever you wanted directly to your doorstep. And so it was like, well, he can't go out and get movie. He doesn't have streaming services. You know what I
Mm-mm.
mean? He's locked out of iTunes. He can't even buy a movie on there.
And
I
that's
know.
the thing, again, like they had flip phones in this, which
Mhm.
is
I love
And
that.
their flip phone cameras are such high quality.
I know.
Yeah. There's
I
a lot
love-
of technological stuff I didn't understand here. I was like,
Here's
was
the
this
thing, too.
possible?
It was I had like such a visceral flashback when he like pulled out his flip phone and like did the antenna.
I never had one like that. I didn't have a flip phone at first. I had like a long fucking ugly ass.
Mm. I had a
Chunky
Motorola
boy.
Razor.
My
So-
mom
I got
had
a
a
Razor
Razor.
Slay for
as my
me.
second phone. The first phone I
Mm.
had was one of those ones just for kids, called like a Cricket or something.
Yeah. It's like can call 2 numbers. One is mommy, the other's 911.
Home,
Mhm.
a
That's all
parent,
you need.
911.
is
Who else do you need?
Mommy and the cops.
That's all Kale has to bring it back to the movie.
But it's just
Okay.
like,
Whoa.
this movie is so time capsuled.
It is so
delicious
time
in it.
capsuled. Yeah.
The little fucking shit kids that keep pranking him and
Oh, they
watching
were
porn
so
all
funny.
the time. They're so fucking funny. I love that they get their comeuppance at
Mhm.
Yes.
the end too. I misremembered though that part with the balloons the water balloons they throw at him, I was like, they're filled with piss. They're not. They're not. Thank God. I was like, thank God they didn't do that. I'm
That'd
glad
be
my mind
crazy.
just
They're
made it
pissing in
worse.
water balloons.
That would have been real
I
funny,
wouldn't put it
actually. They should have
past
done
them.
that.
They already did the shit thing. That was so funny that like there's shit all over his foot. This is how he's like introduced to the hot new girl in town
And her parents.
and her
Mhm.
parents. He gets like thrown down and arrested.
Again, that would have worked for
He's such a
That's why she
bad
has to go straight
boy,
to jail.
Yep, that would have worked for me, unfortunately.
dude.
Honestly, it would
I-
probably still work for me. Discuss this in
he's so
therapy. I will.
sensitive.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds like a plan. But yeah, I mean, his situation is just like fucked in general, though, because day one of getting his ankle bracelet on at home, first of all, Viola Davis comes and says, "You have to pay me $12 a day every single day," which is like $1,000 minimum for 90 days. But also, the cop comes to supervise and he says, "By the way, your Spanish teacher is my cousin. I'm going to have so much fun making your life absolutely fucking miserable this summer. See you around."
Which should be illegal.
Yeah,
You'd
such a
think.
conflict of interest, and like
One would think.
But again, as you see later in the movie, he can literally go over his little cop walkie-talkie and be like, "I want first dibs on this kid no matter what." And they're like, "Okay, great. Whenever something comes up with him, we'll let you know." So like the organizational
ACAB.
support is there for his agenda.
This is why
Ugh.
cops are bad, man.
Cops are the worst.
Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting little addition in there too. Though I was sad later on. But we'll get there
It
when
is
we
like
get
it's a
there.
very good, well-used plot device to be like, here is an additional antagonist to make his life hard and to show that his circumstances have real consequences. And then also to be able to have an on-screen casualty later that you feel bad about, but don't feel
really
as
care
bad as you.
about.
Yeah, like where you're not so traumatized by it being a main character, but it is a character you've met before multiple times. And so you have like some attachment to whatever that attachment is.
Yeah.
Either you're glad it was him or you're like, oh, that's more than he deserved or whatever it is.
But
You're
it's not
having
like
a
Eric.
reaction because he's been introduced throughout. But also of all the characters we've met who could go, you're like, well, at least it's him
Right.
and not
Can't
somebody
be
else.
As
Viola
long
Davis.
as it's not Ronnie
can't be
or the
Viola
mom.
Davis. Oh my God, the moment when the Ronnie fake out happens traumatized me, I think, the first time I saw this movie.
Yes. It was so scary.
Seriously.
That's a great prank.
It
Sophie,
is a
take
great
notes.
prank. He's such a little bitch.
I would kill him. I'm like, okay, I'm glad you're not dead, but now you are. So
But now I'm
that's
gonna kill you.
unfortunate.
Actually,
The way it takes him 45 seconds to go, oh my God, you're right. That was a really bad prank. I'm so sorry. You're right. Now that I'm
Ronnie.
thinking about it, that's a bad prank.
Have to say though, I feel like in the early aughts, and maybe I need to revisit more of them because like we did Prom Night, the remake, Avi, and that was like a PG-13 horror movie for the teens or whatever, and that was effective for me back then. But like I feel like this is like quintessential, like this is like perfectly made teen horror thriller. You know what I mean? Like the fact that like it's a slow burn or whatever, and there's some like really like fun like romance movie stuff happening in this too that you're into. Like this is just like a perfectly choreographed
movie
thing.
for
They
teens.
nailed it. And honestly, like the suspense is really good and it gets like legitimately scary and pretty like not crazy gruesome, but like it gets pretty gruesome towards the end. Like I feel like this like nailed the PG-13
Well,
rating.
yeah, I think the way they kill that cop also helps a lot because it's brutal but also bloodless, you know what I mean? So I think that helped with their gore factor for sure. But this movie was originally given an R rating and then they like appealed it basically. And then they said, okay, it can be PG-13. Yeah. Or at
They
least
do
that's
have
what
that
IMDb
one
trivia
big
said.
blood splatter thing too, so
Which I think you can get away with when you like don't really see where the blood is coming from, you know what I mean? So then and then especially when you see the deer later, it's like there's some like cover to be like, I don't know. So
What could it
Yeah.
be?
what can
I
it
think
be?
they did a really good job of introducing the mystery as well, because it's in such like a flippant way. Like he's literally watching like Girls Gone Wild or some sort of like porn adjacent thing. Not totally, but it was like later we'll get to the chicas calientes or something like that.
I can't remember. I think there was a scene before that where he's like with his mom watching TV and she's like falling asleep or something, but maybe that one comes after.
I think that might come after. So he switches the channel. I think
Yeah.
it does, because I just watched the beginning of the movie again right before this, and that was the first time I was hearing of it.
Yeah, he was
but
watching
he's
like trash TV and then switched it to news.
to the
And
news,
then
and
he was
starts-
watching TV with
Oh,
his
and then she
mom,
cuts
and then
the
the
cord.
news came on. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's why he's watching with his mom, because he has no TV in room anymore.
Yeah.
exactly.
Because she's like,
yeah.
oh, you want
So-
dramatic, bitch? I'll give you drama.
Which
Yeah,
is
I
so
love that it's
wild.
such an aside, you know, that
Mhm.
like you're not really paying attention to the news, you know, you're not really like sure what information you're supposed to be retaining at that time. But that's just exactly how it is for Kale, you know, he just hears this in the back of his mind, like, and then it pops into the forefront when he sees the car that it was exactly described
Mhm.
in his next door neighbor's thing. And I love this too, because it's not always done well when they're like, it's an unreliable narrator, and is he crazy or is it the truth? You know what I mean? Like usually
Mhm.
that annoys me. But I feel like they did a good job with this one. Because you know, people don't trust him because he is been doing some felon shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, that
He's already
felons
a
aren't bad
bad
people.
kid, quote unquote. So
yeah.
Right, where like, you know, he does a bunch of things, and even his like friends don't believe him at some point throughout this movie. You know what I mean? Like Ronnie, Ashley, they're all like, let it go. Like, this isn't worth it. This isn't real. Like, you're just
Yeah.
bored. And he's like,
I am
Bitch,
bored, but
no.
also
I'm right. This is something too. Like, as a nosy neighbor in general, this is something that I feel would happen to me. Like, this movie just seems like it could actually happen in real life.
I live in a very active street corner where a lot of crazy shit happens. One time, drunk people threw a boulder through the front window of my car. So it is
They did do
actually
that. I
very
remember
important
that.
to be constantly vigilant.
Sure.
You never know what could be happening.
Well, also, I just love that montage, not montage, I guess, and that scene near the beginning, too, where Ronnie first comes over and he's like, check out the schedule I've got down pat. It's like, these people go, and then these people go, and then boom, affair upstairs.
Well, it's so fascinating just watching people be
Mhm.
themselves. I'm not saying you should be a voyeuristic peeping Tom, as Shia is here, excuse me, Kale is here. But there's much to be entertained by. That's why people like
You're
reality TV.
saying you drive by a house with a big window and the light on and a visible table where people
I
are
always
gathered.
look.
You don't look in. I look
I
in
always
every
look.
time.
I
You
always
gotta
look.
look.
Oh, I
Any-
always look in.
Anytime I pass by my next door neighbor's front door, like I just automatically look towards the window. I'm just
Yep.
making
Mhm.
sure everything's okay. Everything's
Yeah,
kosher.
I think you have to. I think it's the reasonable human behavior.
Okay, also from a horror movie watching perspective, like there could be an assailant coming to get you and crash through the window. It's to
You
keep
never
yourself safe.
know.
Or your neighbor could be a serial killer.
Exactly.
Just like
As
in
evidenced here.
Disturbia. Yeah. To bring it back to Disturbia. But it was interesting. I mean, we talked about Rear Window. I also I had one thought myself, and then I saw it in IMDb trivia, and then there was another one I didn't think about, but the spying through the fence thing, when he's talking about how Mr. Turner mows his lawn twice a day, and then obviously that comes a little later once he's already suspicious, but that is very what lies
It's
beneath.
beneath.
Uh-huh. When she's like
Oh.
peeping through the fence with the eye,
Yes.
remember?
And then pops like right out in front of you.
Mm-hmm. What was the other one that I looked at? Oh, Fright Night. Fright Night, I didn't think of
Yes.
myself, but then when I read it, I was like, holy shit, for sure, yeah. because it's like the spying on the neighbor with binoculars. Something odd is going on. The mom gets involved, and then the mom is having this like pseudo romance sort of with the
Yeah.
guy, but also there's like the girlfriend is having this like weird interaction with him too. So
There's a lot of like really on the nose, but like in a good way, horror references in this movie that were so fun to spot this time around. Because like I don't think I've seen this since, I guess we watched it together a couple years ago, but I hadn't seen it before then since I saw it in theaters, and I hadn't seen a lot of these horror movies that I've seen now. So there's so many little like very direct references that I loved, but we're not at most of them yet. Um, but yeah, I also just want to touch on the romance a little bit too, because it is creepy that he was watching her,
keeps on
but
her.
also his little speech that he gives about like looking out at the world or whatever. I was like, fuck, why is it working on me? Monica, he's
would've-
literally breaking the law.
Oh my god.
It would have worked
Oh
on
my
teenage
god.
me.
In
Wow.
2007, I was a little never been kissed nerd, so I
Yeah.
would have loved this.
Fundamentally, we all want to be seen. And that is what
But
he
maybe not like that.
proposes. Well, not like that. But we want someone to be like recognizing us for who we are and trying to see who we are. And that's what he offers her, which would be very tantalizing even if she wasn't the new girl, you know what I mean? But also they just moved here. She doesn't really know anybody, and all of a sudden there's this very cute boy right next door who likes her, but who doesn't just want to fuck her, although obviously he does want to fuck her, but he's like, I'm thinking about who you are and what kind of person you are and what books do you like to read and what way do you see the world and like what are your thoughts. So I can see why it works, but also it's also speculation. It's like it's like you're wondering
Manic
who
pixie
who
dream
am
girl
I,
shit.
and it's like, girl,
Uh-huh.
shut up.
He's just
You look in the
projecting. It's
mirror,
fine.
not like you're vain, but you're like, who am I before I go outside?
No,
Girl.
totally. He's romanticizing the shit out of her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he's got nothing else to do but fall in love with her. You know what I mean?
But she's a
from
teenage girl, and so she finds it romantic.
It's gonna work.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they're cute and they're otherwise behaving normally, it's very easy to
And if they're a
be
bad
entranced by
boy.
that. And also, like not to excuse peeping for teenage boys because that's wrong and they shouldn't do that. But he's also a teenage boy who is still, navigating what's okay and what's not okay and like when to give into temptation and when not to. So
And he doesn't have a dad to talk about any of this
he
with
doesn't
anymore.
have a dad to tell. Yeah, I mean, and also like she just moved in, but she should get blinds on those windows probably. Like if I have certainly spied
She
on a
does
neighbor
have 'em, they
before,
just
you know
weren't
what I mean?
closed.
Well, later on she has them. But
Sometimes you want to perform, okay?
sometimes you do, but you probably shouldn't perform for your neighborhood when you're a 16-year-old girl. Not blaming her, but
Okay.
I can see
can
how
only
he
be
would catch a
seen
glimpse
from
and like be
his
like,
window, though.
I can't look away,
Yeah.
Maybe don't come back later with binoculars. That's kind of where the premeditation comes in. But
Yeah, Monica,
Yeah.
where's your prop?
yeah,
Oh,
show us
yeah.
your binoculars again.
I had him out earlier.
Dun dun
Ooh,
dee da
dun,
da
dun.
da. I'm
Beat
going
'em, bum.
crazy.
What's wrong with me?
What's wrong with me? Why am I a peeping Tom? I do love all his little ploys though to get her though. Like when he is like, "Oh, she's outside. I'm going to struggle very pathetically to get the mail."
Again,
You know what?
it would have
Women love
worked.
a pathetic guy.
I
Yeah.
love a
Yes.
pathetic guy. Oh my god.
Going back to challengers.
Well, there you
He
go.
needs help. He's damaged. Okay. And also I love how like they actually like break through like their whole voyeuristic relationship by Ronnie just being the fucking dumbest bitch in the entire world and
Yes.
smashing his face into the window. I love him. It's so funny. And that comes back later as like a spooky thing where they do the
Mhm.
same thing. I thought that was a little bit funny. Probably wasn't supposed to be that funny, but
Ronnie's the
sometimes you get a
best.
girl, and sometimes you get the attention of a killer. But this killer is so prolific. Like, he literally is like a massive serial killer. Like, and the details
And the
of this
neighborhood
crimes
just thinks
in
he's a pussy
Austin-
slayer. They're just like, he
Right?
gets ladies at the club all the time.
Well, here's the thing. From afar, I was like, not hot. Then I saw him up close, and I was like, okay, he can kind of
He
pull.
does
And then
have
I
an
get it.
earring.
And the earring was what did it. And I was like, the slick back hair, I kind of see it. But then got close enough that I was like, he looks exactly like fucking oh my god, what's his fucking name? From The Shining.
Oh, Jack Torrance.
No. The main guy, Hannibal Lecter. He looks like Hannibal
From
Lecter.
The Shining?
That's not.
Not The Shining. I'm so
You're
sorry. I was
thinking
reading
Silence
of the
Shining.
Lambs.
I was thinking Silence of the Lambs. I'm so sorry.
Anthony
I have
Hopkins.
notes written down. There's a Shining reference later.
Mm.
Spoiler.
Spoiler!
But he looks so much like Hannibal Lecter, like just facially and with the hair, and like just reminds me of Anthony Hopkins just in general in some ways. He's got one of those faces. Sorry, no shame to this man, but the longer you look at it, the creepier his face gets. Like on its face, on the face of his face. He looks like an okayly handsome guy, but like the longer I was looking at him, I was like getting really unsettled, especially later in the movie when he's in like the workman suit. It kind of was reminiscent of Hannibal Lecter's prison suit to me, and so that really like sealed the deal for me there.
Love your
I don't know
suit.
how intentional that was, but I really felt it. And I was like, ooh, he's horrible. He's killed like 30 girls.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
killed so many people. And he like knows, like, not a dumb bitch, because he knows how, I mean, maybe we'll see, we'll get there later, but like he like preserves the body so they don't smell, so he doesn't have to dispose of them. Like,
Mhm.
they're only found once he's evacuated the whole town with no trace. Like,
Just like in Austin.
I wonder how he choose which cities to live in.
he loves the music scene in Austin, so that's why he went
He
there.
said,
Mm.
not huge city, but up and comer, because this was 2007.
Mm.
Austin is big tech city now, but it was different back then.
But it wasn't that.
Yeah.
Fly under the
I-
radar a little bit.
I think one of the most like intense parts of this whole movie is the part when Ashley, Kale, and Ronnie, I think is there too, are doing their stakeout and watching that party girl come home in the green
And the bug?
Volkswagen Beetle, yeah, and the green
Fucking love a
bug.
bug.
That whole segment was just so stressful, because like they do so many great fake outs, and then they make you forget that you're even supposed to care about this, because I don't know, something else happens that they all are distracted. But my favorite thing is that this killer did drag.
Yeah.
Drag
I
slay.
was like, do we save this discussion for the segments? But since it came up, is he being queer coded, do you think? Like, I don't know what to think about that necessarily, because there's something there
know.
potentially for the earring. The one earring is
What
part
side
of
is the
it,
gay
and
side?
then
I think the right side. I think it wasn't the gay side.
oh, so he's straight.
So he's straight.
But obviously, you know, he has one earring, and he's out here killing
He's got-
women and targeting them, and then dressing up as them to a degree. Obviously, it's just part of his like way he gets away with it by being like, they drove away, people saw them driving away.
Are the silence of the Lambs references like tenfold? Like, is he doing
with
Buffalo Bill shit? Is he coveting these women in
if
a
he's
different
keeping
way?
them in his house, you know what I mean? That's kind of like down in the well with the water and underneath.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm not like fully convinced, but I'm also like, because I don't think they're trying to have you watch the movie and be like, that character is gay. But I think it does maybe play into like the larger trend of villains being queer coded. And so it's kind of just
Mhm.
like pulling from there a little bit to have him as like a recognizable villain. I don't know. I just think it's an interesting
No, it's
point.
important thing to bring up, definitely. There's something there. So yeah, I think it's so interesting with this killer. I mean, I guess I should look up what his name is. Ugh,
Mr. Turner.
Mr.
Yeah.
Turner.
But also too, he gives like I like that they give him nothing, right? Like we get no development on him. Like he just
All we know is he
kills,
mows his lawn twice a day and he
right?
hates that bunny.
Yeah, he like kills to kill. He's kind of like a Michael Myers big walking scary figure.
Yeah, that's another thing with the
'Cause he's
blue
6 foot
jumpsuit
fucking
is
four.
also very
Four.
Halloween.
Yeah. And
He's
so
so tall.
but so like it's so nice seeing like it's nice and fun seeing a big scary entity and a couple meddling kids. I
Oh, now
would have
you're
gotten
going into
away with
Scooby-Doo
it
vibes.
too.
Big Scooby-Doo vibes. Yeah, no, I think that's probably why he pulls so many girlies, because he's 6'5".
I'm looking
Is
for
he
a
hot
man.
or is he just tall? Yeah.
I'm looking
Yeah.
for a man in murder.
He's
And
literally a
also-
serial killer, girl. It doesn't matter that he's 6'5".
Time.
Yeah,
yes,
I mean,
yes, it does.
anybody can lie at the club, obviously.
Of course.
But
He says, "I'm not a
also,
serial killer, by the
I'm
way."
not. He says,
And the
I'm not a
earring
serial
doesn't
killer.
make
You
me
can feel
gay.
so safe when you come home with me. But if you are going to kill somebody that very night, it's certainly like you don't have to prove any credentials to them. And also, it was 2007. Like, MySpace existed, but it's not like you could just like Google somebody. Or not that these ladies at the club are Googling people most of the
Yeah.
time anyway, probably, but there's
No.
not a lot of safeguards in that sense. And it's not like Bones and All in the 80s where you could fully kind of just cash purchase your way through life. But it is also 2007 before social media is so fucking everywhere. And if
Mhm.
you're renting the home or whatever, I mean, I'm sure there are ways that he is getting away with this because it was just an easier time to not be leaving a digital footprint behind in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I think something that was lost on me the first few times I saw this was just how much he is looking back at them. Um and how vigilant he is. And I mean, that's why he's been getting away with it, because he's very aware of his surroundings at all times, and you have to be to do a kill and make sure that you have no witnesses.
You're not leaving anything behind. Yeah.
But like he wields this like fucking terrifying like power. He throws his weight around in this movie, and it's so scary. Like after Shia or Kale flashes the light by accident in that moment, and then alerts Mr. Turner that like there is someone watching him. And then Mr. Turner shows up inside of his house the very next morning, having already popped his mom's tire, stalked his mom to the
Mhm.
store, popped his mom's tire, fucked up the okay, go away. Fucked up the like stripped the metal on the thing, so they have to tow it, and it's a longer process, so he can be insidiously get under her
Oh,
skin,
let me drive you
get to
home. I'm a
Julie,
hero.
get invited into the home so he can suss out the home and know the layout, probably, because he's probably
Oh,
like,
so
if he saw
scary.
that, I'm probably gonna have to kill these bitches eventually to cover my tracks. Like, he's so scary. I gotta hand
Meticulous.
it to David Morse. He's really does a good job in this role, because that scene, and also when they're like sending Ronnie into the car, it's so stupid. They're really just doing full broad daylight crimes. Um, but like him getting into the car like that with Ashley and like taking her keys out, and like
Yeah.
all of his mannerisms, all of the like powerful like things he does with his body in that moment, like as a woman, like you just see Ashley
so
shrinking
scary.
away. It's so scary when he touches the tips of her hair.
And
Oh,
when he says, what is the quote? He says something like, somebody as intelligent and attractive as you, or
Ugh.
whatever it is he says. Like, he is being creepy to her on purpose, obviously, because he's being like,
Mhm.
fuck off. But also, he's purposefully or not, what's really coming in handy for him here is also that she's a child. You know what I mean? Like, she is like, I'm doing something wrong and I'm gonna get in trouble if anybody finds out what
Yeah.
I'm doing. Therefore, he can threaten me and I'm not gonna tell anybody. Whereas maybe an adult would be able to have a little more clear-headedness about it and be like, he came into my car and he took my keys, and whatever he said, it's
Yeah.
threatening, and this is not okay behavior, and like, I'm escalating this up the chain or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that could have been a moment where, because before, the only person saying anything about him was Kale, and Kale can go to his mom and be like, he's a creep, blah blah blah, whatever, and his mom is like, okay, you're bored and you're looking for issues and you have beef with this guy now, so you don't like him and you're trying to discredit him. But like, for an additional person to come in and say like, he threatened me, like for this neighbor girl to come in, that could have been a moment where you speak to an adult and an adult recognizes that like something is not right here.
Totally. One more thing about the earlier instance of him throwing his weight around with the mom with Julie. Like Kale has this like huge reaction, this violent reaction to him being in the house, him being flirty with the mom, him asking her to the movies and all of that stuff. And yeah, like maybe that would be a red flag for Julie, that her son is being such a fucking dick right now to this stranger. But because he's flirting with her and they just lost the dad, it could be him having like a tantrum
Mm-hmm.
because he doesn't want his
I'm not ready
dad to
for
be
mommy to
replaced
move
right in
on.
front of him,
Mm-hmm.
which is, totally fair. I mean, maybe not reacting in that way or in front of the person, but like that feeling is so valid. So that's a really interesting thing too. I don't know if Mr. Turner knew he was playing with that because, like, I don't know if he would know all the history, but
Well, I think they said Mr. Turner's lived there for a few years, and given how vigilant he is about
oh
his
yeah, there's so many bodies down there.
neighborhood, yeah,
Right.
I'm sure he is
And
aware
I'm sure
that
they've
there was a
chatted.
husband who lived there who died, who
Totally. So interesting. Yeah, he's just doing so much to discredit Kale. He's already, like we said earlier, not a reliable witness because people don't trust him because he's been off the rails for the last year. And then doing more to make him look like he's just being emotional and going cuckoo bananas while he's in house arrest. Ooh, this is such a good movie. I'm sorry. I watched it again and I was like, damn, it holds
yeah.
up. It
Do
really
you
holds
think
up
he
for
really
me.
did hit a deer, or do you think he went out and got a deer to keep on hand just in case? Like, what do you think the deal is with the deer?
I
He's like,
don't
you saw
know.
me do something, and so I know I need to be prepared for this eventually. I went out that
Maybe
next
just
night and I get deer.
he likes to kill deers. It might be that. I mean, he knows he's being watched. Because
Oh,
that's
they do
like,
say at that moment also he collects skulls because he's got the cow skull in his garage.
And that
So
longhorn, what does that mean?
he's from Texas.
fuck. Didn't even think about that. Crazy business. Are we at the part where, okay, well, something
Wherever
that we
you want to
need.
be, queen.
Kayla and Ashley, I just want to say, have great chemistry.
Yeah.
They do have great chemistry.
They had great smooches that I felt happy to see.
And they're like a believable couple too.
Yeah. It's great teenage flirting of like, oh, you're having a party without me. Well, I'm going to be a fucking nuisance because I can't
Oh my
go and I'm
God.
jealous. And they had
That's
that
so
fight of like,
funny.
oh, you're just going to conform because he's like, you
The
and
jocks
Ronnie.
and the bimbos.
Yeah, you and Ronnie are the only people I'm having any social contact with. And I am sad immediately at the thought of like losing you to this other social group, which of course you're going to be part of. You're a very hot girl. And so as soon as you meet anybody, they're going to want you to be part of that squad. And also now I'm stuck here watching you flirt and you're performing for me. Maybe
And that
question mark.
guy picking her
Um,
up and stuff. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, obviously she knows that he's watching because she's like, "Don't watch me tonight." Does she say it like that, or does she say, "Don't watch me tonight"? I guess that's up to the viewer to decide. But you know, they very much know that they are having a dialogue with each other, especially once he starts playing the music at her. And so she's like, I know what this is about. But that like flirty back and forth over the iPod, it's very teenage flirting. It's very teenage
know.
flirting.
That's so cute. I love it.
I loved it.
it.
I was like kicking my feet watching it.
I
I
know.
was like,
It's because I had such a fucking huge crush on Shia LaBeouf, so we're leaving it there. Devastation will be with me in my therapy session next week. But yeah, I think that we touched a little bit about the part where Ronnie goes into the house. Fucking dumb ass motherfucker left his. Can never be a spy. He left his
No,
phone
terrible.
in the
no,
car.
horrible.
Really not good. Very big mistake. You do have to go in and get that. But like the fact that they did not plan this shit out very well at all. Like the first like super sleuth thing they were doing, they at least have a scout, Ashley, out at the store, knows he's away from the home. This is like
With her live streaming pictures coming.
Oh no,
That
guys,
is
I
not
lost him because I ran into Skinny Psycho.
Right.
That's
That part
such a
was really
mean
funny.
nickname.
It's
That's a
so
great nickname.
It is a good nickname given that her name is Minnie Tycho, but it is very mean. I know. I bet she
devastated
doesn't
Minnie.
deserve it. It did devastate her.
She
I
was
almost
like,
wonder,
"Why did you do
like,
that?"
is she having an issue with an eating disorder at school? And
That's what
people
I
have,
was
you know what I mean?
thinking
That's what it gives. It gives
I don't
like
know.
this
If
poor
I found out
girl,
that
a rumor went
my
around.
nickname was Skinny Psycho, I'd be like, oh my God, do you think I'm skinny?
I bet someone's called you that.
Probably.
I'll call you that later if you want.
Thank you.
But yeah, I think they really just did not plan this out very well.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, just logistically it was fucking a nightmare. He was looking at the video feed from this camcorder that can somehow do video feed. What the fuck? I don't understand how they had the technology for that, but 2007, maybe it was possible. I wasn't doing stuff with camcorders, so I don't know. But that screen was behind him and he was looking out the window with the binoculars, so he couldn't like easily look between the two.
Have eyes at both.
So
yeah.
eyes at both. He has to turn around completely. Also, a little flaw for me, maybe I'm just really stupid. I have such a hard time looking through binoculars like at all. I think my eyelashes get in the way, and half the time I can't see shit anyway, so it's not safe. It's not safe already. But like he's literally upstairs. He's literally just like Mr. Turner is just upstairs in the loft. And they're like, oh yeah, it's fine. He won't hear anyone going like blah blah blah, like hitting every single thing, opening the garage door. You know how loud
Yeah.
the garage door is when it opens?
They're loud.
It's loud.
They're loud.
They're loud. I live over my neighbor's garage and it's fucking loud. I'll tell you that. So it's not a very good plan, but I think they did a really good job with that scene and making you terrified and making you really think that Ronnie is dead
and gone. Yeah, I also think given that they had to do that not as part of their recon mission, but because Ronnie left his phone, it's like understandable how no plan they go in with, because it's like we don't know the next time he's gonna get in the car and find it. And
go now.
You know, we know that Ashley is over here playing with custom ringtones, and so it could be something very silly and annoying that is 100% gonna grab his attention.
Me so horny.
We also,
me
when
so
we saw that in
horny.
middle school, we were obsessed with that song afterwards for sure.
Such a good song. So fucking funny. Oh my God. But yeah, it's so frustrating too. Like, that's why Ronnie makes me want to punch people in the face. Like, I understand why he hid because like he doesn't want to get in trouble. But like it's so gut-wrenching when you're like, how is Mr. Turner getting away with this? Like Ronnie's literally in the house right now, like beat to shit, you know? And like there's nothing that Kale can do because no one will believe him.
No, he's the boy who's cried wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't trust him at all.
But he has
Yeah.
that one frame on the video where he can see there's a vent with something behind it that's open space. What?
Enhance. Enhance. It was just using the zoom feature, but I was like, okay, you got to have a little enhance moment. It's very
You
important.
have to. Yeah.
It's important to the genre. But yeah, once it like got it zoomed in that close and it's like her full face, I was
And
like,
it's like
okay.
a perfect.
Yeah, she's like,
you're just like, oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was funny, but sad and horrible because there's a dead woman and that's terrible. But yeah, oh my God. The fact that the person who's on the line too is his mommy, like really like I couldn't remember what happens. I thought something was gonna happen with Ashley because I just couldn't remember how this movie ends. But it's so much more compelling that it's his
His
mom.
mom.
Because
Yeah.
he's already lost his dad and he's been disappointing his mom for the last year and then like his fuck up could get her killed now
And the
and then
fact
he'll
that
be
he's been a fuck
responsible.
up and so she does
Yeah.
not believe him.
It's a dire circumstance obviously, but like I'm glad that they made it like about family and not about his like new love. I think it just makes it more compelling. I would have been compelled if it was Ashley. I love Ashley, but like
also, Ashley's like
mommy.
such a down bitch in this.
Mhm.
Like when Kayla's tied up and she barges in and she's like clawing at his face and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
I was like, yes, resourceful. And they get to jump in the pool, which is like every teenage dream to like,
Yes.
jump from your thing into a pool.
Roof to
Escape!
the
I have to
pool.
escape into the
Like,
pool.
into the pool.
Yeah, and I love the tension of him of Kale like being like I just need to cross the line to get my monitor to trigger the police. And you're
'Cause he
and they
fucked up the
finally do
phones.
it and they're like we've triggered the police, but then it's this
This guy
fucking
who's usually
bullshit
on
with
his fucking
Gutierrez.
ass. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's not like because they're diverting it to this guy who's got axe to grind with him. He's like, I'll come when I come after I eat my cheeseburger, which like would normally be fine, except for people's lives are on the line.
Yeah. The one time he doesn't show up in 5 fucking seconds.
Yes,
Right.
is when he actually needs him. So yeah, and I think the design of the house was really cool too. Like the fact that it's like this spooky kind of vibes in the house, like the wood paneling, the old furniture, and all of that. And he opens up that panel, and it's like that sterile, like surgery room.
Mhm.
So creepy. Like the quick cuts that we get of just like the scale of the amount of women that he has killed.
You
Like
glimpse the
all of
wig and you're like, "Oh shit, like this is way more insidious than I thought cuz now he's fully got it down like how he's getting away with it."
yeah. No, it's just oof, it's so creepy and that wall with all of the license plate or the licenses like that reminded me of they have a similar setup in Fresh and it reminded me of that. Um ugh, it's so icky. And he literally has like a vat of like juice that he keeps the body in, like formaldehyde juice, I'm assuming. I was like, otherwise, he's got a serious sewage issue, and
Right?
that's not
Otherwise-
sustainable. But that's got to be like he made that pit of like some sort of like preservative for all those bodies. Ugh, and that was also another horror reference right there. Well, there's two. There's one we missed. The Shining one is when Mr. Turner has the baseball bat and he bashes the door down while Ashley is sitting on the other side of it. That felt very like here's Johnny kind of vibes. And then also when Hale falls into the pit of bodies, it's very poltergeist. Like when
Yes.
she's in the pool and there's all those real skeletons, if you
human
recall.
remains, yeah.
Hopefully these are not real human remains.
And like different forms of decomp too.
Yeah. Oh my God. There's just so many. Like the scale of it is really insane. It's so gross. And I love that mommy gets to help beat the shit out of him.
It's important.
With gardening shears.
The gardening shears are such a good weapon at the end,
Yes.
and also because they've been like planted from the beginning when he was like, "What's my perimeter?" It's such a fun gag to not gag, but such a fun thing to set up and then pay off later on.
Yeah.
And also, you
Also-
fucking stab the shit out of that guy, and then he falls into that gross water. Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah. That was a sick visual. I loved it. Also,
It's
like
the through line also to Sleepaway Camp too.
Yes, I was thinking about that. I was like, how many wet pits will make me gag in the next in this month? Like I was like another gag
It's
moment.
wet pit summer.
Wet pit summer.
Oh my god.
It's so hot. It's
Hi.
wet.
Your
pit
pits
summer.
are wet.
How
Honestly,
many wet
Trav.
pits will make me gag? Sometimes
All of
I
them.
say things.
You could argue
Uh,
that the ocean and I Know What You Did Last Summer is one big wet pit.
So
There we go.
true. I can't argue against that. I'll say.
Just try. Just try.
Also, I don't know if I'm just like dumb and never thought about like the name of this movie before, but I just didn't like think about how it's like a play on words with suburbia, Disturbia, like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that sort of thing. He makes that joke
Disturb
earlier.
Suburbia.
Yeah, it's like the first time I caught that joke. This was this time around, and I was like, "Well, I feel dumb, but I have
You're
to
like,
note
oh,
it.
it got me.
I have to note that that's clever."
I did find an article because I did Google Disturbia Shia LaBeouf Rihanna just to see if there was any connection because that song came out in 2008, 1 year later. So I was like, I don't know, maybe they liked the title. And it was talking about how the term Disturbia was coined in like the 50s basically after World War II and the like move to the
Oh.
suburbs as the suburbs were becoming established as like a bigger thing outside of cities, blah blah blah. And the psychological phenomenon was basically positing that bitches are gonna go crazy in the suburbs because they don't have the like
Access.
connection of
Stimuli.
the city.
Which is
everybody's-
actually so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then it was talking
that's
about
spot
how
on.
in both it kind of just ends up being like, isn't this disturbing? So
But also,
at least in this one, they are in the suburbs, you know.
Yeah.
speaking of problematic, Disturbia was written for Chris Brown and
Yeah.
he gave it to Rihanna. He was like, actually, she would do better on it than
He's
I
like,
would.
I have other singles, but then actually her single Disturbia beat out his single for #1. That's why this person wrote this article because they were reviewing every #1 single on the history of the Billboard Hot 100. So
Mhm.
I like to forget that Chris Brown exists. And I had.
as do I.
Unfortunately, he
there.
does have some bangers, but I don't
Not one
listen
of
to them
my
anymore.
problematic faves.
That
No.
yeah. I hate him so much. Oh god. Anyway. Yeah, this is such a killer movie. And I love that there's a silly ending to bring it back to the fact that this has big themes of teen romance or whatever and comedy.
Humor and teen romance.
Yeah, I love how they like, play all these pranks. They get the kids back. Fuck those
Mhm.
kids. That was so funny. And I thought it was such a hilarious choice to have Ronnie be like making their sex tape at the end, and that's his reveal that he is still alive. I was like, I'm really glad he's still alive. And he's like, this is gonna be the biggest video on YouTube. Okay.
Think about it. YouTube had only been out for 2 years at this point.
Whoa.
There was a
Like,
lot
YouTube-
of potential for virality, is what I'm hearing.
Like YouTube
Uh-huh.
started in 2005.
If you just had
Wow.
a cat being silly in this video, it would have rocketed to stardom.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Hotties make out plus silly cat.
Right.
We're gonna make millions.
Silly
Why
cat.
don't we do that? That's how we could launch our podcast into the stratosphere.
Okay,
Make
which,
Daphne do something silly, quick.
yeah.
She left
Me
the
and
room.
Chucky
Ladybug
make
is-
out.
Yeah, Ladybug is walking in front of the camera all the time.
Somebody make out quick.
That was me and both of you, actually. I don't know if you.
Oh, we haven't done our three-way kiss yet. That's the exclusive
was you both.
content on our
That's
Patreon.
on Patreon. For $10 a month. We'll
For
get
$10 a month, you get to see that one video of us going.
That's the next tier we're gonna add because we don't have a $10 tier right now. We have $2, $5, and $8. If you'd like to
Yeah.
be a patron,
If you'd like to be a patron, the $2
$2, $5,
tier
$8.
for a clear reference.
Very
The
reasonable.
$5 tier for so many gay thoughts. The $8 tier for see you next Tuesday. Look, I remembered that time.
Look,
Great.
we're so proud
Slate
of
it.
you.
Uh-huh.
$10 for three-way kiss.
Yeah.
$10 for
One
three-way
video
kiss.
of a three-way
Just
kiss
one.
that you have access
it.
to at all times.
But
you can
we'll
look at it all
three-way
the
kiss every month.
Yeah, a new video every month. of
This is
us
gonna get
doing gay
expensive for us.
content.
We're gonna have to fly to
Yeah.
Alabama, or Cindy's gonna have to
But
fly to
think
LA
about
for us
how
to
many
kiss
people are
every
gonna
month.
buy that tier.
It'll pay for the flight.
It'll
It'll
pay for
fund the
itself.
payment.
Okay, sorry to stop talking about us kissing, but is it time for our
Segmento?
Oh, you said it like an E again that time. That's nice.
I'm
How
keeping
could
you
this
in your
movie be
mode.
experimenting. She likes to keep it fresh. She likes to keep it silly.
Keep us
Yeah.
on our toes. How could this movie be gayer?
You
Say
know,
how? Say how.
Ronnie and Kale have explored each other's bodies at some point.
I think it's just like in Challengers, to bring it back to Challengers. This is a tiny spoiler for you, Monica. Just a small spoiler. I think they definitely, one of them taught the other how to jerk off.
Yeah, for sure.
They have
Spoiler
for
alert.
sure jerked off in the same room before because they're teenage boy besties. That just feels like something that would have happened at some point.
Is that what boys do?
I think so.
That's my understanding.
I think so.
I really have no idea
They're
what
weird
boys
about
do.
their dicks.
What do they even?
I
what
don't
do
know
they
that
even
They
talk
traditionally.
will
about?
whip it out,
but
allegedly.
I
They
don't
watch
think they're
porn together,
like,
according to this movie.
oh, they for
Yeah.
sure watch porn together. I've been in a room watching porn with
I
other
have
teenage
actually-
boys. Yeah.
Yes.
it's-
So have I. Yeah.
Where I've
no,
like walked
actually.
in and
I don't
they
think
were-
anybody
just had
was
porn
jerking it, but
that we knew of.
that we knew of. But yeah,
No,
they
I
for
kn- yeah,
sure
that-
watch porn
that's-
together. I feel like they maybe were on other sides of a door jerking it if they needed a little separation. But definitely things have gotten weird at sleepovers in ways that they were like,
Interesting.
we're not doing this together. We're just together and we're doing this.
Exactly. The distinction is so important, and that's what makes it not gay.
They could have done throuple stuff though if they really wanted. You know what I mean? Like Aaron Yu
Yeah.
is so cute and he's right there.
Right? Like, let him join.
That's the gay rewrite right there. It's a sexy throuple, and they say, "I've got two boyfriends. I want two boyfriends, and I want my
I want my boyfriends to be boyfriends.
And she's
can
very
all
hot.
go
I
on little
think she
boyfriend
could do
dates.
the Zendaya and Challengers thing where she's like, now you guys kiss.
Like, stop spoiling it for me.
You saw the trailer.
When are we doing Savages on a 5th Tuesday?
I don't even know if I know what that is.
It's down my list. It's not top of my list, but we should watch it together sometime.
Monica, it's
I'm down.
It's another throuple movie.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, Blake Lively,
I'm already
and
in.
Taylor Kish, the hot one from Friday Night Lights.
I didn't watch Friday Night Lights.
He's also
Okay,
in
I'll
The
send
Covenant.
you a picture.
Isn't he
yeah,
in The Covenant?
Yeah,
Okay, send me a picture. I'm down.
and they are
no, I'm down.
a
Compelled by
throuple
thruples.
who are like sexy drug dealers,
She gets kidnapped and then they have to boyfriend
Ooh,
up together to go save her.
and like
Ooh,
Aaron Taylor Johnson's like a smart scientist one, and then the other
You've
one
seen
is
this
like
much more
the
recently
muscle.
than me.
I haven't seen this movie in years. This movie is imprinted in my
Just
brain
really-
because this is the life that I want to live. This is my
Okay.
dream life.
Put it on the list. Put it on the list. Yeah, this movie could have been that. They could have done that
Yeah.
instead. That is how it could be gay. We already talked about how Mr. Turner is gay. I feel like Julie, the mom,
Yeah.
can finally
She doesn't
take
remarry
the
a man.
win and-
She
I could
starts
see
dating
her
a
and
woman.
Viola Davis getting together.
Oh,
pay
I
me
love
$12
that.
one more time, baby. Okay, baby.
Okay, let me go get
I'll
my
pay you-
pocketbook.
I'll
I
pay you
accept
$12
all
more.
major
Oh,
credit cards.
Did my card just fall out? My business card? Why don't you call me?
Oh my god, my
sometime?
number.
Oh, is that my number?
She likes
Detective
him. She's a fan of
Parker.
him. She's like, you're the only kid who's ever gotten it off for good behavior before. She's now emotionally invested in this family.
I am
Mhm.
so into the
She said,
Julie
"I'm
and
looking
Detective
for
Parker getting together.
a stepchild. I'm ready to have a family."
I'm fully all in on this. That's happening, and it's true. That's
I'm
what it is.
invested now.
Oh my god, Carrie Ann Moss. I need to watch more of her films. I'm very compelled by her. Oh, here's another gay thought. Carrie Ann Moss. That's my gay thought. I'm
Just
having
Carrie.
gay thoughts about Carrie Ann Moss.
Me and Carrie Ann Moss.
It's going wild. Any other gay thoughts you'd like to share?
So many more gay thoughts.
All right, it's time. Matthew Lillard. Where you going, boy? Where you going?
He's the little kid on the big wheel bicycle racing down the street.
He's the porn kid with the poop.
Okay, I think he would have been a good teacher.
I think he would have been a good guy
Ooh.
from school throwing Ashley into the pool at party.
Mm,
That's
But
true.
no, for serious purposes, teacher's a good one.
Teacher would
or
be a
he
good
could have
one.
been like the shitty cop who dies.
I mean, it's
I
so
liked that
ob-
shitty cop. He's got such good shitty cop face.
I know he does.
He's also kind of hot too, so I had to deal with that in therapy too. Ugh, God. Oh, also the dad was hot. Sorry,
The dad was
dad-
hot.
Craven.
I'm surprised that you didn't say more about him because he's also the cop dad and well, he's not a cop in this, he's a writer, but he's the cop dad in Under the Bridge, which you watched very
Okay.
recently.
That's what I thought. Okay, I was like, I know I recognize him, but I couldn't place it at the time. But yeah, that show is
I
so
also
fucking good.
recognized him, but I don't know why. I only a little bit recognized him at first, and I went, "Is that Sean Penn?" And then I was like, because you had already texted being like, everybody's in this movie. I think because you must have just seen Viola Davis, and so I was
Yeah.
expecting everybody to be super recognizable, and he is recognizable, but he is not Sean Penn. But he's in a ton of stuff.
Oh yeah, he's been in everything, literally everything. But he was great. I honestly though, back to Matthew Lillard, would love to see him as Mr.
Oh, he was
Turner.
in Devil. You guys talk
Oh,
about
cool.
Devil.
Oh, we should do Devil soon. I would love to see Matthew Lillard as Mr. Turner. I mean, like he's young enough in 2007 too, if we're not time traveling, where
Mhm.
he would be like in his like, lady killer era still, like sexiness wise. He's still sexy to this day, to be clear. But like, even more believably than Mr. Turner in his current, like the current actor.
He would have
David
been
Morse.
pulling bitches, okay?
He would have been
Mhm.
pulling bitches, and so
And
it's
he's
like
very
even
tall.
more. And
he's
very
also
tall.
6'4".
I don't know. I think that
Slots
would have
right
been really
in.
cool. And he's so good at being spooky. I could really see him doing those like power play scenes and doing them very well. And it would have just been a different dynamic, having him be
An
like
interesting,
less
like
of an
restrained
age gap.
spooky too.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would actually love to see that. That would have been really cool. So
That would
I
have
think
been
he
hot.
could have been a good Kale, also time traveling Matty Lily, because like
Oh,
Oh,
young
the
yeah.
Matty
bad
Lily.
kid who's on house arrest, who nobody believes because he's kind of
But who's
shitty.
also sensitive with a heart of gold and is just sad about his
Yeah.
dad. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that would
I think
also
he
be a
could-
really
he'd slay
cool case
Kale.
for him.
Right? Like if this movie was made in the early 90s, he would have been a great Kale. Also, he would have been a great Ronnie. Love Ronnie, but like he could
Comic
have
relief,
easily
yeah.
stepped into.
Of
Or
course.
Ashley could have been Asher. And
And
it
it's
could have
Matthew
even been
Lillard.
gayer and it could have been Matthew
Mhm.
Lillard.
Wow.
And they could
There's
still
this
be a throuple.
sexy new guy who moved into town, and it's Matthew Lillard. I'm compelled, personally. Okay, it's time for dumb bitch. The teacher.
I guess. Oh, teacher's
Yeah,
a good one.
the
I was gonna
teacher
say
for
the cop,
sure.
but the teacher's a good one.
Teacher. Yeah.
The teacher for
The
sure.
teacher was just being
Yeah,
a
you
little
because
bit
I feel like
too throwing his power around. I hate it
Mhm.
when authority figures are like,
Dicks
do you
about
know
it.
who I am?
Yeah.
Like, okay,
'Cause
if you
that's the
actually were
thing.
wielding authority, you wouldn't have to say that.
if he was just having a bad day or whatever, you could see him like going to bat for Kale more at the trial and being like, yes, he made a mistake, but he's a teenager under a lot of stress, going through a lot, and I provoked him and I shouldn't have because I'm the adult in this situation. Um, but I bet he was not doing that. I bet he was like, that kid is a fucking shitty kid and he punched me in the face.
Yeah, totally.
That said, I
But
do
they
think
did-
also the cop deserves a wreck because,
yeah.
yeah, because he is out here being absolutely the worst. He's like, I'm gonna be on your ass when it's like you didn't even realize that you could go like 2 feet beyond your driveway and it was gonna be a fuck up because I'm like waiting for you to fuck up. And yeah, he's making things worse at he's there right away every time he doesn't need to be, and he's not there for a long time the one time he does need to be. So,
Yeah.
but he gets his comeuppance, whereas the teacher we never see again. So
Right.
Bro, dumb
he's
bitch.
out there
This is his comeuppance
possibly
right
being a
now.
dumb bitch to more high school students.
You know he
Yeah.
is.
Okay, cool. Well, that brings us to our knives out of 5s. Tell me this won an
So,
Oscar. It's Spielberg.
it
won
might as
It
well
won a
have.
lawsuit.
Should have. Yeah, it won a lawsuit.
That's all you really need. But yeah, this movie on IMDb has a 6.8 out of 10, pretty good. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has 70% fresh from critics and 77% fresh from audiences. But here's where it gets really interesting. At the MTV Movie and TV Awards in 2008, it was nominated for Best Kiss. At the 2008 People's Choice Awards, it was nominated for Favorite Movie Drama, I assume because they did not have a separate horror category. And at the 2017 Choice Awards, it won Choice Movie Horror Thriller, and it won Choice Movie Actor Horror Thriller for Shia LaBeouf, and it won Choice Movie Breakout Male for Shia LaBeouf because he was in Disturbia, Transformers, and another movie called A Guide to Recognizing Your Saints. All that came out that year.
Damn,
But the
what a
real
year for him.
piece de resistance is it's not a win, it's just a nomination. But at the Kids' Choice Awards Australia,
Was waiting for this.
Oh.
Kids' Choice
Oh,
Awards
Australia.
Australia, he was
Down under.
nominated for Favorite Movie Star for once again Disturbia and Transformers. So, like we said, this
Interesting.
was just kind of his year.
Competing with himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh, I mean, I'll kick it off. I gotta say, like, I love this movie so much. I'm giving it 5 stars. There's some problematic characters who are in it. But I love this movie. The nostalgia hits so good. I think it's really compelling. I relate to Kale's character, dealing with grief in the worst possible way. I understand that feeling. And so I was really like in it with him this time around. It's cool to watch a movie that you love when you're a kid and then love it even more, like with what you
Mhm.
can bring to it now. So
With your
I
adult
loved-
perspective.
Yeah, with an adult perspective. So that was really fun experience. And I loved catching all these little like horror references, intentional or not, but I feel like they're intentional. I don't know. I really think he looked a lot like Hannibal Lecter. I don't know. I was like, it's there. It's on the page. But yeah, so I loved it. I'm glad we did this. Summer, baby. We're in it. 5 knives. Okay, sorry, that was 10. 5 knives.
I'm also giving this. I feel like I've been like rating. I feel like Monica, where I'm giving like movies really high scores, but I have liked all the movies and I've been pushing for this one.
Yeah.
And like this movie, again, it's a 5 knives out of 5 because like they are my age. They were my age in this movie, right? Like, and so
your contemporaries.
these were my contemporaries, and it just feels, again, this feels like something that could have happened to me.
Totally.
And so
Mhm.
like you feel very connected. The acting is a little rough, but they're teenagers, so it's perfect. Like the tonal setting is still there, and it's like we get all the cool things. He's got the cool room like you always wanted.
Of
like
course, it's a teen movie. He has to have the cool attic room with the sloped ceilings and the posters
Right?
on the wall.
walls. Like he gets the hot neighbor girl. Like it's so cliche in the absolute best way possible. And I feel like this movie is like a little bit forgotten like about because it you know, it has a stain of Shia LaBeouf, but
Yeah.
also like people just don't talk about it as much when they're like thinking of movies, and I think that is a shame. I think this movie is
It's
like,
relegated to thriller a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I feel like instead of horror.
and this movie is just so delicious still.
Good word.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I was enthralled when I saw it in theaters in 2007, and I'm still enthralled every time I see it. And I think it's just like a really well constructed story, where you really, you see where he's coming from, but you see where everybody else is coming from, not buying into his shit a lot of the time. Like, they built up their framework really well.
Mhm.
And I think they're doing some good stuff. Like, again, the first line being like, he can't see us, but trust me, he can feel us watching. And then it cuts to them like fishing in this beautiful scenic area. They're having the time of their lives. They're a father and the son. They love to be together. Like, the way that they're setting everything up is very thoughtful and interesting.
Totally.
And also it's just a banger. It just is. You know what I mean? It just is fun. It's giving you romance. It's giving you comedy. It's giving you cute boys and cute girls. The drama is there. Those 20 minutes at the end, you're tense. So yeah, I mean, I'll follow you. I'll follow you guys anywhere. If you're both giving it
Alignment.
5 knives, I'll give it 5
Yeah.
knives.
Hell yeah. What a fun one. Oh my God. Okay, well, before we announce next week's movie, just one more Patreon reminder. We have a Patreon now. Don't you want to be a
$2,
patron?
$5, $8.
$10 and we'll kiss.
Maybe
That's not on there yet, but if you
But
join,
if we hear a lot of requests for it,
if you join at least at the Discord level, you can message the
you can,
Discord and
yeah,
say,
you
kiss,
can go
kiss,
in there and
kiss,
say,
kiss.
when's
Actually,
that
maybe
tier
don't.
coming? When is that tier coming?
But yeah, there's going to be other fun stuff we roll out down the line. So you want to watch this space. And that space is www.patreon.com/spooky_Tuesday. And also we have our new beautiful website if you want to look at pictures of us like we're cult leaders, because aren't we?
We are.
It'll be fun.
But next week we are keeping the summer vibes going and we're doing something fresh and new. It just came out, what, 2 weeks ago?
Ish.
Something like that.
2-ish weeks ago.
Beginning of the
And
month.
we've covered every other movie in this franchise. So we're prepared. And if you really want to get ready, you can be as prepared as we are by listening to those episodes. But we're going back to Ty West, our boy, and we are covering Maxine, because there's 3 X's in it. Because Maxine, because it's about porn again, I think.
Hey.
I
Haven't seen it yet.
Some
She's-
sort of thriller that I don't know, maybe it's an
Yeah.
erotic thriller, who can say? Well, I guess we'll find out. But
We're gonna find out.
Yeah,
And how
I've got no
it.
idea. Ooh, I heard Kevin
Uh-huh.
Bacon's in this
Elizabeth Debicki is in it.
And also UCLA radio alum Moses Sumney is in it. So
too. Ooh.
love him. He's a great musician and actor now. So I'm really, really, really excited to see this movie. Like, wow, have I been waiting for this? This is definitely in my top 3 most anticipated horror movies of 2024. So
And if
I
you were
hope it lives
wondering-
up.
If you were
Huh?
wondering why we kept teasing a problematic 2 weeks last episode,
Yeah.
this is why. So we're staying
'Cause
in
they're-
Fave's problematic territory as we move from movie to movie.
Because let's not forget that Shia and Mia are still technically married, though separated right now. They filed for divorce maybe the second time.
We said in
in
May,
May.
yeah.
So they're a little bit
And
of
they
a
have a
problematic
bebe.
coupling.
I've seen them fighting on the streets of the valley.
That sounds like Shia.
I was eating my little ice cream cone and walking, and I was like, "Oh, that's Shia LaBeouf." Ooh.
and soon to be horror goddess Mia Goth. Oh
Mhm.
God. Why do our faves have to be problematic? But yeah, problematic
Yeah.
2 weeks. Get ready for it. Hey baby.
It's problematic every week because we have Monica on the pod.
damn it. What
Cancel
am I
her.
saying now? Don't put that in my bio. That's not my bio for the website, right? Monica is the problematic one. And Chelsea's the singer of the pod. God damn it. This is why we
That's
can
how
let
we
Chelsea write the
distinguish
bios.
ourselves.
Yeah. Chelsea's in charge of writing it. So
God damn it.
You
I'm
just
gonna
have to
edit
take
it.
what I give you.
I'm gonna edit it. But anyway, it brings us to our poll question for Disturbia. What should we do? I don't know.
Are you into a bad boy?
yeah, would you be interested
be
in
most
your
likely-
house arrest neighbor?
Who would be most likely of the three of us to be on house arrest?
house arrest?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Or
That's a great
vote
one.
for who you want to be on house arrest, maybe.
Who should be on house arrest?
Ooh.
Who
right now.
deserves house arrest for
gonna be
being
hurt
a
my
naughty
feelings.
little bitch?
Who's the naughtiest of the pod? It'll be some iteration of those three questions, and you'll have to go to Spotify to find out. Or you could just write us a 5-star review and you could say who you think is the naughtiest of the pod right there and say, but I like that about you, Chelsea. You're not the naughtiest of the pod. I'm sorry.
Chelsea's a bad
And-
girl, okay?
Yeah,
Chelsea's
I'm
actually the bad
domineering this
girl of the pod.
episode if you actually remember.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. Say in a 5-star review, oh my God, Chelsea, you're so domineering this episode. I was
Do you remember
scared,
when
but I was
demeaned
kind
Sydney
of
2 episodes ago, 3
into
episodes
it.
ago?
I was into it. It's fine.
I know
Wow.
you were.
Oh my God. Well, you could say something about this interaction in a 5-star review, or think about it and give us a 5-star rating on Spotify. Or you can follow us on social media. We're at spooky_Tuesday on pretty much everything except for Facebook and Tumblr, where we are at Spooky Tuesday Pod. Speaking of Spooky Tuesday Pod, if you add .com to that, that's our website. Look at that. Seamless. I'm seamlessly mentioning it.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful. There's a blog. You can see our beautiful episode art real big because Chelsea works real hard on that every week. So think about it. And also we're on YouTube and we didn't really dress up this week, but we look really fucking cute anyway.
I'm wearing my new
excuse you.
glasses. Yeah, Sydney's
Sorry.
doing cosplay.
Sydney, show off your
Sydney
cosplay
had
again.
her Apple Watch on her ankle, and you're gonna want to see her foot on camera, probably. For
I'm
free.
not
on
giving you
camera.
free footsies.
She put it on the video. She
Where
pulled
are
it up
those
into,
footsies?
into screen.
Sydney, where are those
Where's your little titsy footsies? Hold on.
She's gonna be like, "How do I navigate it just out
I'm
of frame?"
keeping them.
Hold on.
Oh my God, she's
It was
gonna
like
hurt
pulling
herself.
at my leg hair, so I took it off. But
Ow.
are you ready, Monica?
Yeah, put it back on.
Ooh, peep
Oh, she's
those
hiding her
toesies.
toes, folks. You
I
gotta
saw the
pay
big
for
toe.
the extra special.
I saw the big toe.
That's the promised $666 tier. So.
Yeah. You
Oh
get
yeah, we haven't
foot
even brought that up. There is what is it? What am I trying to say?
a super
there's-
special tier.
what is
super
that
special secret
phrase I made up the other day? Tall tale talk. There's tall tale talk about there being a 666 tier that's just for Sydney's feet pics. It's not on
Yeah.
there right now,
For
but
the secret menu.
$666, I will post
on the
feet
secret
pics.
Patreon menu. We're gonna get thrown off Patreon. Anyway, after all of that, I would just like to say, oh, the whole thing with that was to subscribe to YouTube, by the way. That's where you're gonna see the feet. Sorry, forgot to actually say that part. I was distracted by the feet. Okay, now back to what I was
a
gonna say.
toe, one toe, and you
There's
went,
one toe, it's on
"Whoa."
YouTube. You gotta subscribe to see that one toe. Thank you for listening. Wow. Thank you for being so brave as Chelsea was so domineering. And I'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye, spooky.
You see, the world it's in a heightened state of paranoia. And I tend to think that someone as intelligent and attractive as you doesn't need to be wasting your time stoking the fire. So now you know. You're not the only one who's watching.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Haidt, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamra Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at great18_, that's GR818_. And our podcast art is by Ryan Brom, who you can find on Instagram at Ryan Brom Art. That's Ryan, RYAN, Brom, BROMM, Art, ART. Learn more about Spooky Tuesday at spookytuesdaypod.tumblr.com.